Here are the top stories of the news. Inspector General of Police Usman Baba assures voters of their safety during tomorrow's supplementary elections in 24 states. Amnesty International faults the federal government for not carrying out credible investigation into Chibok schoolgirls' abduction. And the foreign saying 21-year-old United States airman to appear in court in connection with leak of highly classified military documents. Good afternoon and welcome to Spring News at 12 on Western Spring Television. My name is Femi Olani-Pekun. Ahead of tomorrow's supplementary elections in 2,660 polling units across the country, the Inspector General of Police, Usman Baba, has assured voters of their safety at the polls. He also ordered the deployment of policemen to 185 local government areas across 24 states of the Federation, where supplementary polls will hold. The INEC during the February 25th and March 18th elections declared some governorship, National Assembly, and State Assemblies polls inconclusive and directed a rerun. Violence and voter suppression had marred the polls, especially in states like Lagos and Rivers. In a statement, First Public Relations Officer Muyiwa Adejobi said the police boss ordered adequate deployment of supporting personnel for additional logistics for effective election security management. The IGP urged the electorate in the affected states to come out en masse to exercise their franchise and be law-abiding while maintaining peace and orderliness. The Labour Party has denied receiving an apology from the British government over the detention of its presidential candidate Peter Obi by immigration officials at Heathrow Airport in London. The LP had on Wednesday said Mr. Obi was harassed and detained by London immigration officials over alleged impersonation. The party said Mr. Obi was questioned for a long time and that it took the intervention of Nigerians who quickly raised their voices, asking why it was being delayed. Yesterday, there were reports that the British authorities have apologized over the incident. However, in a statement by the head of Obidat's immediate team, Diron Onifade, the party said it was not aware of any apology. A coalition of elected members for the 10th House of Representatives says they will respect the zoning decision of the All Progressives Congress APC on the speakership position and other principal offices. In a statement, Usman Kumo, a member of the All Progressives Congress from Gombe, and Kingsley Chinda, a People's Democratic Party member from Rivers, said the coalition is committed to presenting a united front that will help the incoming administration of Bola Tinubu. The lawmakers said the focus of the coalition is to promote equity and fairness amongst the members-elect and the emergence of presiding and principal officers. They said 14 APC governors, 9 PDP governors, and several National Working Committee members of the ruling and opposition political parties have endorsed the coalition. Mr. Chinda, who is the co-chairperson of the coalition, is an associate of Governor of Rivers State, Nyesom Wike. Weeks ago, Governor Wike said the PDP in the state would support any candidate presented by the leadership of the APC for the position of Speaker. Elsewhere, Amnesty International says lack of accountability for crimes against the children in Nigeria is emboldening impunity. In a statement, Acting Director of Amnesty International Nigeria, Issa Sanusi, described the kidnappings that have taken place since the abduction of the Chibok schoolgirls as an utter failure of the federal government to protect children. Till date, 98 out of the 276 Chibok school children abducted by Boko Haram remain in captivity. Although there have been rescues, a plethora of schoolgirls have been targeted, with girls being abducted, raped, killed, or forced into marriages. Mr. Sanusi faulted the federal government for not carrying out a single credible investigation into the security failures that left children vulnerable to the atrocities committed by Boko Haram and gunmen. He said conversations with parents of some of the abducted Chibok girls still in captivity showed that they were losing hope of being reunited with their children. in Zamfara State. The police command says its operatives have rescued 9 people who were abducted on April 11th from Kikeri in Safe local government area of the state. The command spokesman, CSP Muhammad Shehu, while addressing journalists in Gusau, said the victims included 7 females and 2 males. It is disclosed that the rescue of the victims was sequel to credible information obtained from a Good Samaritan, which the police used. He reassured the public of the command sustained onslaught against bandits and other criminal elements in the state. And the rate at which Nigerians, mostly youths, have been migrating out of the country in search of greener pastures has been tagged as worrisome, especially the level witnessed in 2022. In this report, Olayinka Ali speaks to some youths on why they are leaving Nigeria.
Japa, a Yoruba word for to run, flee, or escape, has become a buzzword for the aspiration that young Nigerians have to leave the country and migrate elsewhere to seek greener pastures, even made popular by an Afrobeat song with the same title. Many youth believe that it is a response to the leadership failure across decades and government, both the civilian and military. Nigeria has a population of over 200 million people, most of whom are youth. According to the Census Bureau of the United States, Nigeria's population will surpass that of the United States in 2047. It is pleasing that Nigeria as a nation is regarded as a giant of Africa and as the most populous country in Africa. But the question is, why is Nigeria faced with mass immigration? Femi Oludare is a Nigerian who disclosed that in few days he is going to be out of the country seeking a greener pasture, although he plans to come back and invest in the agricultural sector in the nearest future.
There are a lot of reasons why people are traveling. People travel on purpose for education. People travel out of frustration, and because looking at the system we have the system we have is not really encouraging the youth. So people find reasons to leave the country. But for some of us, we are going on purpose to be a better person so that we can come back and come and invest on this, because there are still several opportunities. There are still several resources here.
For Olamide Akinlabi, she and many others were disappointed at the outcome of the last presidential election, and it got her so depressed that all that is running through her mind right now is for her to go to another country and start a new life.
I believe we practice democracy, the act of vote and be voted for. So I believe a lot of youth actually came out on that election day to go and vote for the right candidates they believed should be in the position. But at the long run, the vote didn't count to me. Yes, it didn't count. And that has bring a lot of depression to the youth generally. So, when your votes don't count in your country, then what other things could count?
Although Kudus Balogun in his submission thinks Nigeria has a system good enough, but with not too many opportunities, which he feels is not okay for the national development. He also seeks for greener pastures and come back to invest in his country, Nigeria.
It's only good when you have the intention of going there to gain skills and exposure to be able to come back and impact in our national development. But other than that, most people now go with the intention of going there to stay, live, and forget about Nigeria totally, and I feel that's bad. So my own idea behind it is, it's not like the Nigerian system is not good enough or is not up to standard, but the opportunities available cannot go round, and I feel that's like an impediment to our national development. So if an avenue is there for me to go, learn, develop, then come back, I'll be willing to.
A Nigerian, Tumishe Ayodele, who is based in the United Kingdom, suggested that Nigerians in diaspora or aspiring diasporans should look for a way to invest in their own country. That way, the issue of brain drain would be resolved.
Everybody is moving, they are leaving, the environment, they are going out of the country. Now, what we're trying to do in essence is, when you look at even the GDP of Nigeria, what we repatriate in terms of money from abroad, to Nigeria is way more than any other aspect of the sector. So we started working together as community over there now on see how we can look at 2 to 3% more from our income. Now, when we repatriate them, those money that are repatriated are for economics, like, and for people to say, oh, I want to buy shoes, I want to pay my house rent. So we're looking at proper investment now, So that's the only way I think in the short term, the Nigerian youth can actually turn things around. But in terms of people living, and the caliber of persons there, I would say yes, it looks like a real brain drain, but we can only just do better to see how we could turn that drain into gain. But of course, the situation is not helping for now.
Today, millions of ethnic Nigerians live abroad. The largest communities can be found in the United Kingdom. Olayinka Ali, Western Spring Television News.
Ransom Kuti was an educationist and advocate of women's rights. She was recognized for her vitriolic comments against colonial policy of taxation as it affected the Nigerian women. Bere, as fondly addressed by her women followers, Fumilayo championed the initiation of universal adult suffrage, which gave an unprecedented leeway for women to contest elective offices and power to exercise voting rights. Married to a foremost educationist and teacher, Israel Oladoto Ransom Kuti, the first president of Nigeria Union of Teachers, Fumilayo Ransom Kuti was the mother of children who inherited her spirit of activism. Olufela and Be Ololari, the former, a renowned musical legend. She was the first female student of Abeokuta Grammar School and the first female to own and drive a car in Nigeria. The award recipient of Member of Order of Nigeria MON and Lenin Peace Prize, was born on 25th October 1900 and was killed on the 13th April 1978 by rampaging road soldiers in Lagos. Western Spring Television identifies Fumilayo Ransom Kuti as a watershed character in history. Aminatu, the legendary Queen of Zazzau, is best known to historians as Queen Amina of Zaria, an old walled town and capital of the Hausa state of Zazzau. Amina was a great warrior and the first woman to rule the ancient kingdom of Zazzau. Her 34 years as queen witnessed an unprecedented expansion of Zazzau by conquests. Queen Amina of Zaria belongs to the class of Amazons by the might of her army and her strings of conquests. She opened Zaria to trans-border trade and was said to have initiated kola nut cultivation in the ancient kingdom. The Hausa Muslim figure was born in 1533 and died in 1610 at the age of 77 years. Folklores remember Aminatu, the Queen of Zazzau, as a brave, smart and talented leader whose giant statue now adorns the National Arts Theatre in Lagos, Nigeria, while many educational institutions bear her name. Western Spring Television identifies Queen Amina as a watershed character in history.
Welcome back. Now to the rest of the news. The Ogun State Sector Command of the Federal Road Safety Corps FRSC has disclosed that 7 persons were burned beyond recognition and 7 others injured in a crash that occurred along Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. According to a statement by the Public Relations Officer and Chief Roads Commander Florence Okwe, the fatal crash occurred yesterday. 2 vehicles, a Toyota Sienna and Mazda bus, were involved in the crash. According to the FRSC, the suspected causes of the fatal crash were excessive speed and route violation on the part of the Sienna bus, who followed one way and collided with the Mazda bus. The injured victims were said to have been taken to nearby hospitals, while bodies of the deceased have been deposited at the morgue. Travelers may experience flight disruptions as aviation union workers have threatened to suspend their services across airports in the country from April 17th to April 18th, 2023. In a memo signed by the leadership of 5 unions, the workers said an indefinite strike will ensue if the 2-day warning strike fails. The unions include the National Union of Air Transport Employees, Air Transport Services Senior Staff Association of Nigeria, Association of Nigeria Aviation Professionals. Others are the National Association of Aircraft Pilots and Engineers, an amalgamated union of Public Corporation Civil Service Technical and Recreation Services Employees. According to the memo, the warning strike would serve as a protest to the refusal of the federal government to release the review of their condition of service as negotiated between the workers and the 4 aviation agencies. The unions also raised concerns about the non-implementation of the national minimum wage consequential adjustments and arrears for workers of the Nigeria Meteorological Agency since 2019. They also rejected a planned demolition of aviation agency buildings in Lagos to pave the way for an airport city project initiated by the Minister of Aviation, Hadi Sirika. Reactions have trailed the Investment and Securities Bill passed by the National Assembly, which aims to strengthen the functioning of the capital market and project investors. The bill includes provision for more stringent punishment for operators of Ponzi schemes and illegal investment schemes that have led to the loss of billions of naira and have affected confidence in investment climate in Nigeria. Joseph Atewe has the rest of the story.
Ponzi schemes, also known as pyramid sale schemes, are a money laundering system where investors are lured in with the promise of high returns on investments after a specified period. Sadly, in recent years, thousands of Nigerians have fallen prey to the devious antics of money doubling platforms, which have thrown many into poverty. Many Nigerians have also placed the blame on the official declaration of economic recession in early 2016, which saw Nigerians experience a proliferation of the world's oldest scam, the Ponzi scheme. After the declaration by the federal government, Nigerians began to seek alternative means of income via schemes that looked viable on surface value but fraught with potential tragic consequences in the long run. Mustafa Bello and Tunji Fraser, who are residents of Osun, sadly explains to Western Spring Television the struggle they went through after losing a lot to Ponzi scheme.
Yes, very well. It was a huge blow, a huge step back for me. That was in 2019. I was working with my uncle at a block industry as a manager. So he was giving me 35,000 naira. So there is a friend of mine that introduced me to one forest trading or something to one of his friends, Kamal, in Abeokuta. So that Kamal is working with Daniel Weiss, that is Wale Africa or West Africa or something. I think the case is in court. So I was giving him my money that they every month they are giving me certain percentage. I'm not collecting it. I'm still doing it. So my money there was 520,000 naira. So at the end of the day, the scheme just collapsed. All my money gone.
I fell for it. In fact, I had to pay almost 90-something thousand naira. About, was it 94,000? And it was 2017 to 2018. Early year, in fact, it was after New Year, after I was even going for prayer that day. I've been scammed even during the time of MMM. I ventured into it, hoping that I could get something. Even there's this normal one that they did 2020, this one called Gift Award. This guy called Gift Award. In fact, I did not put enough, I did not put plenty money, but the little I put, the guy ran away with my money, ran away with our money. I will start seeing the kind of life he was living out there.
For Femi Raji, they lost almost 250,000 to the scheme in 2014, hence made him to lose interest in the scheme. But how Nigerians are yet to learn from this painful history still remains a mystery to him, saying he's surprised that Nigerians still fall for it.
I could remember vividly, I think that was years 2015 or 16, if I could remember. I was in Ibadan, I was working with UBA Bank then, yeah, so I think I actually used my money to invest on MMM money. Sometimes I can't even remember vividly again. So I think the last time I could check, okay, I actually checked my wallet or the dashboard there about then. My money has increased from, I think, 90 to like 250 something thousand. Unfortunately, to cut it short, I couldn't get the money out because the whole website was down. So that was how everything went, and I logged up. Ever since then, I've never. Anytime anybody is talking about all this, use your money to like save your money here in the next few weeks, you get this amount, I will never listen. I do not even care.
According to multiple reports, a bill which is expected to aid the functioning of the capital markets and facilitate the ongoing economic diversification in the country, among others, have since been passed by the House of Representatives in December 2022. The bill will ensure that promoters of Ponzi schemes risk up to 10 years imprisonment following the passage of the Investment and Security Amendment Bill 2023 into law by the Senate. This news has excited many Nigerians who can't wait to see many promoters of the scheme who have allegedly duped them be behind bars for years. Joseph Atewe, Western Spring Television News.
On the foreign scene, a 21-year-old United States airman will appear in court today in connection with the leak of highly classified military documents about the Ukraine war and other national security issues. Jack Teixeira was arrested by the FBI at his family home in Denton, rural Massachusetts. Dressed in shorts and a t-shirt, he was led away by heavily armed agents. Mr. Teixeira has been identified as the leader of an online chat group where the documents first emerged. He is charged with the unauthorized removal and transmission of classified information. Dozens of leaked documents revealed U.S. assessments of the war in Ukraine as well as sensitive secrets about American allies, embarrassing Washington and raising fresh questions about the security of classified information. Mr. Teixeira worked as an IT specialist in the intelligence wing of the Massachusetts National Guard, based at Otis Air National Guard Base in Western Cape Cod.
Today, the Justice Department arrested Jack Douglas Teixeira in connection with an investigation into alleged unauthorized removal, retention, and transmission of classified national defense information. Teixeira is an employee of the United States Air Force National Guard. FBI agents took Teixeira into custody earlier this afternoon without incident. He will have an initial appearance at the U.S. District Court for the District of Massachusetts. I want to thank the FBI, Justice Department prosecutors, and our colleagues at the Department of Defense for their diligent work on this case. This investigation is ongoing. We will share more information at the appropriate time.
So Travis, again, I'm not gonna get down to numbers. Again, reviewing distribution lists, looking at who has a need to know, making sure those things are updated, doing due diligence in the wake of these unauthorized disclosures. Again, though, I want to emphasize that this was a deliberate criminal act to violate those guidelines and rules. In the same way that if you locked your front door and somebody came into your house and took something, you followed your procedures and you locked your door, but somebody went in your house and took something and put it out on the street. That's what we're talking about.
United States President Joe Biden will return to his roots in County Mayo today on the final day of his visit to Ireland. Mr. Biden has links to the county through his great-grandfather, Edward Blewitt. The president is due to speak at a homecoming celebration outside St. Mordec's Cathedral in the town of Ballina later today. A crowd of up to 20,000 people are expected to line the streets of the town for the event. It is thought that the president will be presented with a brick from a fireplace that is the last surviving piece of his ancestral home in the town. Yesterday, Mr. Biden spoke of his pride in his Irish roots and support for the peace process in Northern Ireland as he made an historic address to the Irish Parliament. He said the UK should be working closer with Ireland to support Northern Ireland. In Africa, 4 people have been found dead and nearly a dozen others hospitalized in Kenya's coastal Kilifi County after being rescued while waiting for the imminent end of the world. The police said the group was found in a forest where they had been living for several days after being told by a local preacher to fast while waiting to meet Jesus. The authorities said they rescued 11 people, 6 of them were emaciated and in critical condition. Police said they will resume a search for more members of the group following reports that others were still in the forest. The worshippers belong to Good News International Church that is led by a local pastor who has been on police radar for allegedly urging his followers to starve to death in order to reach heaven faster. The pastor is currently out on police bail after he was charged last month over the death of 2 children whose parents are amongst his followers. In business, the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, has dissociated itself from a recruitment portal created in its name and inviting Nigerians to submit applications for jobs. A certain website had announced that the Apex Bank had begun its 2023-2024 application recruitment exercise. The website directed interested candidates to visit the CBN's website to access the application portal, recruitment form, requirements, and guidelines on how to apply. But in a statement, CBN's Acting Director of Corporate Communications Department, Issa Abdulmamian, described the portal as fraudulent, adding that it seeks to take advantage of the country's unemployment woes. Before we end the news, there is a recap of our top stories. Ahead of tomorrow's supplementary elections in 2,660 polling units across the country, the Inspector General of Police, Usman Baba, has assured voters of their safety at the polls. Amnesty International says lack of accountability for crimes against children in Nigeria is emboldening impunity. And on the foreign scene, we told you that a 21-year-old United States airman will appear in court today in connection with the leak of highly classified military documents about the Ukraine war and other national security issues. You can follow us on our social media handles on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Western Spring Television. You can also watch us live on our YouTube channel at Western Spring Television. That ends Spring News at 12 on Western Spring Television. My name is Femi Olanikpekun. Good afternoon.